Hey there guys, what's going on? So the year, like it or not, continues to roll forward into the midst of the grips of frigid January now, and as your spontaneous groans of disappointment and fear get louder at the notion, have no fear folks. New music is here by the bushel, barrel, and every other unit of measure to kick off this 2015 in true, beautiful style. But debates about units of measurement and the inevitable fight about the metric system aside, damn you, Canada. For today's video installment, we're actually featuring the sophomore effort of one of my relatively new favorite artists. In 2012, he rolled out a debut that was actually, well, not technically his debut as a solo artist, but more of a debut as a moniker. A force of drugged up nature, if you will. And that sort of took a few people by surprise after his stint as the drummer in the folk band Fleet Foxes, as well as that aforementioned solo period that certainly was, well, much more subdued. Thankfully, this man managed to kick it up a notch and take things in a crazy alternative direction, and today we're reaping the benefits of that by having his second solo release near to hand and near to talk about now. In this one, we have Father John Misty, aka Josh Tillman, with a follow-up to Fear Fun entitled I Love You, Honeybear. The record is set to kick off its release in the early part of February, but luckily for me, and for those of you watching my channel here, I'm proud to feature a review of this record in its entirety today. So strap in, prepare yourself with dosages of lovely chemical things if need be, or should you feel the need to do so, and let's dive right in with Father John Misty and I Love You, Honeybear. For as much as the tone seems to change and evolve with FJM and Josh Tillman the second time around the block with Honeybear, there's still plenty of those enduring similarities that made Fear Fun such a kick in the first place. The lyrics are still just as whip-smart as ever and cover every theme under the sun, including love or something akin to it, bottles full of insecurities as well as many other unmentionable items, and stories referencing everything from blow-up dolls not being able to get it up to Damien from The Exorcist. You know, all those normally typical things that misanthropes do. That 60s country-tinged sound remains as well, though it seems more awash in enough of a mixture of soul and strings to push Tillman from trippy, folky frontman you find in a strange 78 somewhere to stoned Harry Nilsson-esque lounge lizard. And the Nilsson comparisons don't end there, as the bigger sound of the title track and When You're Smiling and Astride Me, for instance, not only possess a more grandiose orchestration, but also a Nilsson-like knack for blending tender crooning with wry tongue-in-cheek. And actually, once you get right down to it, that's one of the greatest things about Father John Misty. He can draw your attention with earworming hooks and can spin a beautifully falsettoed tale filled with peyote and devious misadventure, to the point you wonder where Misty ends and Josh Tillman, the man, begins. But he can also be sincere. Every Man Needs a Companion proved that as a closer on his last record, as well as several songs throughout that, and I Went to the Store One Day closes this with that same sort of idea in mind. With Store, When You're Smiling and Astride Me, and the title track, you can sense that character mask starting to edge down and slip off just a little bit. Nowhere near as much as Tillman's brooding solo J. Tillman days, but in a way that takes that lightly toned wit and pairs it with something that's truly genuine. In it, one can sense the fears, but also the love and affection he has for wife Emma, whom he recently married, as well as the novelist and just the straight-up wizard behind the curtain pulling those puppet strings of emotion. All in all, Father John Misty's I Love You, Honeybear finds the sarcastic shaman largely abandoning that overarching folk aesthetic in favor of a deeper and more lush acid trip down the rabbit hole of prose and proliferation. The father is just as paranoid and as far from sober as ever, of course, but whether delving into the sincere, the cheesy, or just the downright strange, which is pretty typical and often for him, FJM is on point here in his sophomore follow-up. My favorite tracks from this one are all those aforementioned I mentioned a bunch of times back there, plus the oddly laugh-tracked piano balladry of Bored in the USA, the shimmery folk pop of Chateau Lobby 4 and C for Two Virgins, as well as the creaky saloon floor feel of Nothing Good Ever Happens at the Goddamn Thirsty Crow. The song titles were clearly very verbose this time around. Anyway, after initially hearing Fear Fun back in 2012, I was convinced Josh Tillman had gone on such a perfectly bizarre, out there, crazy tangent that it was really honestly the best move his career could make. Now after hearing I Love You, Honeybear, I'm only doubly convinced he made the right choice. I give it an 8.7. out of 10. But that is it, and that is all for me here, guys, with my review of Father John Misty and his sophomore album, I Love You, Honeybear. Definitely go and check this out if you liked his first record, or if you're looking for something that takes a mix of the retro, adds a dollop of lyricism, and throws it together with a whole bunch of drugs and a whole bunch of creative ideas and makes it into this wacky, wigged-out explosion of tie-dye color and just fascinating string sections. If that was a bit of a mouthful, hopefully that works for you though. So go and check him out if you haven't before, or definitely go and pick up this record if you liked Fear Fun. I think it is an excellent follow-up to that. And by all means, guys, keep it here for much, much more. I got plenty of reviews on some other things coming up. Go check out my WordPress blog for a couple of great written reviews and stuff I put up this week. And just, we're going to keep it on going here. There's going to be a lot more great stuff coming up. So keep it here. Stay tuned.